So hi guys, how are you? I'm Sep and welcome back to my channel. So today we're checking out this video of Alien Historian, Lord of Mysteries Power System Explained for Beginners. Everything you have missed. So let's just start with the video.
Lord of the Mysteries has a power system that looks insanely complex at first glance, but trust me, it is not nearly as complicated as it seems. It's actually pretty straightforward once you get into it. Simple in design, but incredibly deep in execution. Now
Okay.
this chart behind me that you guys have been looking at, well, I made this over 2 years ago, and even back then it was only like halfway done. And at the time we were still about 1,000 chapters away from the end of book 2, so now it probably covers like a third of the entire system. And before you guys ask, no, I'm absolutely not going back to finish it. That ship has sailed. Anyways,
These novel readers, man, I tell you, they are so sweaty. Like he made that chart 2 years ago. I have like seen somewhere. I have seen the chart. I have not like read the chart properly, but it is like huge. It is so complicated. Oh my god.
or big plot twists.
Okay.
So there will be nothing that ruins your experience.
That would
Everything
be
I
good.
explain here is completely safe. Whether you're planning to watch the donghua, read the novel, or check out the manhwa, your enjoyment of Lord of the Mysteries is intact. I've got you covered.
Okay.
So now let's actually get to
We are anime watchers, so we also don't want any spoilers. So if the video is spoiler free, it's good for me.
the video. At the core of Lord of the Mysteries power system lies something called a pathway, also known as the Path of Divine. Each pathway is essentially a progression system, a mystical ladder of power made up of 9 tiers known as sequences. When someone consumes a potion associated with a specific sequence, they become what's known as a Beyonder, which basically just means someone with supernatural powers, akin to mages or cultivators in other series. Beyonders unlock supernatural abilities that grow more powerful and intricate as they advance. The journey typically begins at sequence 9, the weakest, and climbs upwards through the increasingly rare and potent levels, culminating in sequence 2 and 1, where a Beyonder becomes an angel-level being.
You know how in the in episode 4 how Klein like Olgar and Audrey was thinking that Klein is like as the same level as the Orthodox like the 7 Orthodox being the 7 goddess and gods, because he had the 3 honorific incantation. And but in the extras it was mentioned it is not necessary that you have to be as the same level as the Orthodox beings. Even if someone like beings as angels can also have like three name honorific incantations. So what if Klein is not a god but as the same level as the angels, and sequence 2 and 1 is considered as like angels, but Klein is a sequence 9 currently, but he has to be at that level. He has to be an angel or an Orthodox being, or the incantation would not work in a ritual, but it was working. So maybe the Grey Fog powers, the fool that he is in the divine realm, in the Grey Fog, maybe the fool, the character that he is playing or has mastered in the divine realm, is a sequence 1 or 2. And you know how there are like 22 seats in the divine realm where he is hosting the meetings. So maybe the fool, the character that Klein has taken, maybe it is a sequence 1 or 2. Or maybe you know how in episode 1 there was a tarot card, the fool, and it was a 0 numbered card. What if there is a like hidden sequence 0 that we don't know about? Because you know this video is also spoiler free, so I don't think this video will also talk about the sequence 0. So what if there is a hidden sequence 0, that the fool card, the fool is the sequence 0, maybe, and that's why the 3 honorific incantation was working on Klein, because he is a very low sequence, so he is on the same level as a angel, even if he is not a like god, on the same level as the 7 Orthodox beings. Maybe that's a great theory that can work. Maybe, let's see.
There are 22 standard pathways, each entirely distinct. One might govern prophecy and destiny, others might control storms, summon the dead, manipulate shadows, or bend space itself. Some pathways emphasize knowledge and rituals, while others
like seer and mystery pliers.
Crucially, each pathway grants rituals, while others transform their users into horrifying monsters.
Oh, so there are like pathways like this. I thought that they were like turning into monsters just because they could not control the control the Beyonder potion properly. But apparently there is like potions that can turn you into monsters. Okay, that's
Crucially, each
interesting.
pathway grants authority over a specific domain of reality, and because of this diversity, Beyonders from different pathways can vary wildly in ability stats and roles. For example, let's look at two starting points, Seer and Hunter. These
Okay.
are both Sequence 9, the first step of becoming a Beyonder, but they're totally different in how they work. Seer, which Klein begins with, centers on the mind and supernatural perception. Seers gain enhanced memory, spiritual senses, and spirit vision to see ghosts, emotions, and magical energy.
Yeah,
They're
we know
skilled
about
in
that.
divination, using rituals to uncover hidden truths, while
Yeah.
physically normal, they excel at
Yeah.
sensing danger and the unseen. Now,
Yeah.
Hunter is the complete opposite.
And they are not very good in offense.
It is the action movie pathway. As soon as someone becomes
Okay.
a hunter, they get inhuman strength, speed, and reflexes. Like we're talking about
But maybe they would be dumb. Like they would have no knowledge and they would act like they don't know what is going on. And they would not like catch on to things what is like in their surroundings. Maybe.
punches that can create sonic booms. And on top of that, their natural senses go into overdrive. They can track people by smell, see invisible footprints, and hear whispers from an absurd distance.
So they are like animals, wild animals.
Like some kind of supernatural tracker. And all of this is just scratching the surface. Every pathway has its own unique flavor and function, even right from Sequence 9. These early stages, known as the low sequence,
Low sequence.
specifically Sequence 9 and 8, mark the beginning of a Beyonder's transformation. While they have started to surpass human limitations, their abilities are still grounded compared to what comes later.
Okay.
Powers at this level are usually focused and practical, acting as a foundation for more dramatic and reality-defining abilities unlocked in higher sequences. Sequences 7 to 5 are known as the mid-sequences.
Mid-sequences.
A critical turning point where every pathway experiences a qualitative leap in power, granting Beyonders a vast and often terrifying range of abilities.
Yeah, like Dunn is only sequence 7 right now, but his powers are insane. He can manipulate dreams. And Mitchell is only sequence 8, but still he has the power of like Crimson Hope, and that power is also insane. So as the sequence like goes even lower, I don't know what kind of power they would have. Like they are on the sleepless pathway, they are on the same pathway.
Stage, some can unleash devastating gravitational waves capable of shattering ships and flattening docks. Others gain gruesome abilities to consume a person's flesh and permanently steal their abilities, leaving the victim powerless. Some can hijack a soul from afar, killing the target and turning them into a puppet under their control. Certain mid-sequence Beyonders can perceive the sins of others and deliver immediate punishments tailored to their
These are only mid sequences, by the way.
crimes. Others can fire cosmic rays that are said to travel at the speed of light itself. Sequence 4 and 3 are the beginning of the high sequences,
Okay.
specifically called demigod saints, where
Demigod saints. So they are at the same level as demigods.
Beyonders get immensely strong to a point where conventional means are not enough to stop them because of their crazy abilities. Some of these people are able to birth literal gods, exert minor influence over entire planets, derive power from the motion of stars and star clusters, shoot certain death rays, which will instantly kill anyone it touches.
And you know how in the anime, like in the cut content, it was mentioned that like just like from sequence 9 to 7 you can make potions just by like mixing ingredients. Then you can like mix potion and make potions and become that sequence beyonder. But as the sequence goes lower, just potions is not enough. You need to have some kind of like spirituality. So that's interesting.
Demigods can spiritually parasitize your soul. Others wield the power to manipulate matter, trigger nuclear fission at will. A few can secondary figures or artifacts from history to fight for them or tap into the strength of their former selves. At this stage, merely laying eyes on a sequence 4 or 3 Beyonder could make you drop dead, lose control, or transform into a writhing, mindless mass of flesh. And above that, Beyonders step into an entirely different category, a stage that hovers between the very boundary of humanity and divinity, shedding the limitations of their mortal shells and becoming, well, different. A sequence 2 and 1 Beyonder are angelic demigods capable of exerting authority on a much more conceptual level. They become full-blown mythical beings, an aspect which is much more divine than it is human, allowing them to fully embody the meaning of their divine authority. Some of them are capable of directly grafting concepts onto themselves, manipulating both space and time, personally orchestrating events by bending the laws of reality in their favor, embodying the very idea of corruption. And it doesn't even stop there. Order and chaos, life and death, light and darkness, space and time. Sequence 1 and 2 demigods break through the very idea of normalcy, as their authorities and attributes showcase the very might of their divine nature, a characteristic which puts them at the very pinnacle of the power system. Now, I'm sure you might be wondering, how do these Beyonders even ascend up the levels of power?
Yeah.
And how do they move from one sequence to the other? Well, the answer to this question lies in the acting method, as it is as fundamental to the Beyonder stability and advancement as the very potions which grant them their abilities in the first place. The acting method is a significant principle which stipulates the Beyonder to act according to the sequence name in order to fully digest the potion. And
I talked about it in the previous video also, but acting method is like the method like a certain pathway is supposed to act. You need to do things that a certain pathway is supposed to do. Like as a seer pathway, like the pathway that client has chosen, you need to do divination more and gain rewards and thanks. That is the acting method of the seer pathway.
Avoid the risk of losing control. Let's once again take the name of client's sequence 9 potion, Seer, as an example. Applying the acting method to this simply means that he would be expected to act accordingly to the principles
as a
of
diviner,
fully adjusting himself to the role while maintaining a certain level of individuality. Likewise, Leonard's sequence 8, Midnight Poet, would see him having to act in the romantic disposition of a poet.
And also like Mitchell always like acts different from others. His shadow was moving on its own, and also like he was disappointed by Klein, so maybe like he was expecting that Klein also would know about the acting method, and maybe he also knows about the acting method but he's not telling anyone, because you know how he is always reading a book, and the book is about Emperor Rosel. So maybe in that book he got to know about the acting method, and that's why like he is according as to the acting method. Maybe that is a possibility, and that's why like he acts different than others,
writing and composing poems,
always acting like he knows something that we are not getting, always smiling and things like that.
Composing poems which stir up the feelings and emotions of the receiver, which he ironically is shown not to be very good at.
Really?
As long as a Beyonder is able to correctly identify the core meaning behind a sequence's official name, they will then be able to draft up the principles that directly applies to it, thus aiding them in efficiently going along with the stipulated acting method and furthering their advancement.
So they need to understand the meaning of the name of the sequence. Like as sequence 8 of the seer pathway, it's the clown, so that's why like the name is very symbolic, as mentioned many times in the diary of Emperor Rosel, or how like Olga said, it's hidden in the name, it's symbolic in the name. So obviously acting method is important, but you also need to understand the meaning of the name of the sequence that you are like want to progress at.
Furthermore, tied into the acting method are Beyonder potions, a consumable which grants otherwise normal people the chance to step into the path of divine. If the acting method focuses on how a Beyonder should act, then the Beyonder potion simply answers the following question of how a Beyonder is made. This is a step which is regarded as the most basic when advancing through the sequences. The potions are made by following a step-by-step detailed formula documenting the ratio and volume of ingredients to be used in its corresponding order. I have to reiterate and state that the volume and the weight of the combined ingredients must absolutely be in their correct order, as any slight mishap carries the detrimental risk of losing control, a fate every Beyonder strives to avoid. If you know how chemicals are combined in basic chemistry, potion formulas work kind of the same way, just with ingredients that are more on the abnormal side. And if you're wondering what these so-called ingredients are, well, they are
Yeah.
made up of a major and minor elements, with the former and most important being something commonly referred to as beyonder characteristics, while the latter are a series of supplementary ingredients ranging from the hide of rabid mutated wolves to maybe something even as uncharacteristically simple as the shavings off a coral stone, with the
Okay.
commonality being that they all must be mystical in nature. Moving away from that, it's about time.
But how do you get the ingredients? Are like finding the ingredients very easy? I don't think so. Can you buy them in the market? Maybe.
I touch on yet another important aspect of a beyonder, as successfully consuming the potion is not regarded as the end-all be-all in the Lord of the Mysteries universe. Most of the supernatural skills and abilities associated with becoming a beyonder cannot be used rashly, as ascension through the sequences comes with a specific limiting factor, most prominent at the low to mid sequences, but present at every stage nonetheless. The usage of these proficiencies comes at the expense of the depletion of something known as spirituality, a mechanic as important to the power system as the potions themselves. Spirituality is solely responsible for the fueling of the mystical, mind-blowing abilities shown throughout the entire series, as a beyonder who is lacking in spirituality is reduced to nothing more than an averagely powerful superhuman, especially at sequences 9 and 8, because they won't be able to showcase the skill sets they are most notably known for to a high degree. Spirituality itself leaks into the physical world from an abstract, higher metaphysical realm known as the spirit world, existing as an individual extension of itself, while bonding with beyonders, which explains why it houses such vastly arcane properties, capable of stimulating the otherworldly changes brought about by the consumption of a potion. It cannot be seen or interacted with by regular mundane means, as the only way to directly connect to spirituality is for the subject to either have supernatural properties themselves, or to go through a third-party medium capable of aiding them in forging the connection. This third-party medium may come in the form of an object with a mystical history and background, or in some cases a beyonder, one who aids others in communicating with spirituality on their behalf. Spirituality exists in almost every aspect of life within the universe, while also being an integral factor to becoming a beyonder. Now, what happens if you're a beyonder whose path specializes in one type of domain, but you want to use abilities that are completely different?
Yeah.
Let's say a beyonder of the spectator pathway, for example. This pathway is well known for its observational and intellectual capabilities. But what if this beyonder wants to acquire more direct and offensive skills, similar in nature to, let's say, the hunter or the twilight giant pathways? How would he or she go about it? Since most beyonder paths aren't good at everything like a few rare ones, people naturally look for other ways to gain power, like using beyonder weapons and sealed artifacts. These are items imbued with beyonder powers.
So there are like beyonder weapons. So is the gun that Klein always uses, is that a beyonder weapon? That is not an artifact, so it has to be a beyonder weapon.
Classified as either a beyonder weapon or a sealed artifact lies in its inherent stability, as the more dangerous an item is, the more urgent the need for sealing and safe management. Now, there's a lot more details about how sealed artifacts and beyonder items are made, but explaining it would get into major story points that new fans of the anime don't need to worry about yet. Everything that I've explained so far in this video are the basics of the sequence and potion power system in Lord of the Mysteries, without going too deep into the details. I hope this helped clear up some of the confusion from the limited info in the Donghua and gave you a better idea of what to expect as the story goes on. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more.
Okay, so that was the video. We got to know about more about the sequences and beyonder powers and whole power system. So maybe my theory about how the power of Grey, the full character that Klein has chosen in the Divine Realm, maybe he is a sequence 1 or a hidden sequence 0 that I talked about. It's just a theory. It may be incorrect, but it can be also correct. And also the other thing is about Mr. Azik, the professor in Hoy University, the professor of Klein. Maybe he is also a low sequence beyonder. That's why like he's he his shadow turned into some kind of demon or angel because it had also like wings or something like that. So maybe he is also like very low sequence beyonder. As by low sequence I mean like sequence 1 or 2 or something like that. Maybe it is also a like possible theory. There are many more theories, but I think these theories that I made are pretty interesting and may not be possible, but making theories are fun. And yeah, that's with the video. I'll see you in next video. Until then, bye bye.